Happy New Year.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Wonderful. I just can't
Good.
2026.
I know. It's like, where did the time
I
go?
feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. It was like this season, it was just it kind of like happened. And I
Hmm.
don't know what really happened. I'm like, it was
Yeah,
just the
I,
Twilight
I
Zone.
know. I think it was a blur for a lot of people, really. Just kind of made it through. And now we go into what I like our winter hibernation mode. I think it's
Heck
like now
yeah.
it's
Heck
like
yeah. Like
it's
the lethargic holiday hangover.
Yeah, and what's interesting is everyone celebrates the new year, and we have our so some of us, I guess, some have new resolutions, some of us has business goals, things like that. But what they say, or what I read one recently, was our new year is really like the spring solstice, because if you look at creatures and animals and behaviors, the winter is when everything kind of slows down, and us as humans even kind of slow down. We kind of keep more into ourselves, and we're um, kind of building and working and kind of like working in those fashions. So then by the time spring comes, we're like revitalized. And now we're actually pushing forward and moving ahead with a lot of the things that we kind of sat back with. So I think the New Year's, as far as January 1st, is just the date of the new
Yeah.
year, not the actual when you're actually going to, I guess, move on and be the next version of yourself, like your renewed
Well, and I
version.
think what happens too in January, where our bodies crave that slowness
Mm-hmm.
and the more quiet and the more still. But as entrepreneurs, the guilt that comes along with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit back, I can't take that
Take
time.
Yeah.
So, really managing that balance.
Oh, for sure. And especially in an industry where this is the time where you are having to really push forward. You can't be that
Can't
introvert
take it
that just
easy in
kind of
January
like
because
you
my
can't.
daughter and I were just talking
It's
about that because if you start out of the gate in January with not even anywhere near the mark of your year goals, you're spending the entire year trying to play catch up from that very
hmm
first month.
Yeah.
And that's where to be able to balance out how we are supposed to hibernate in January,
hmm
that needs to come from the fall,
Yeah.
right? Like,
hmm
because what you're doing 69 days later, you reap the reward. So, what you're
hmm
doing back in October, November is going to come to fruition in January.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And that's a lot of business planning. And so I think January, though, in general for business, and is, obviously we were supposed to be starting in the fall, but it's a great way to establish and start new habits for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a little bit, can be a little bit slower, easier to kind of manage. You're not making drastic changes, but it's a kind of a great way to kind of get that momentum for the rest of the year going by setting some simple steps and habits that are only going to create future productivity and
Well, you said a big
positive
thing
habits.
there, right? Creating simple habits,
Hmm.
because a lot of the New Year resolutions and the reset,
Hmm.
it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And instead of eating that elephant one bite at a time, everybody wants to take that big chunk out of it. And then they're burnout come February because
Hmm.
this isn't that natural time to be so aggressive.
Hmm.
So whenever
No,
you
for
hit
sure.
balls to the wall, you're going to meet it with that resistance. And
Hmm.
it's going to be more difficult to maintain those goals throughout the year. And that's a big misnomer too.
Yeah. No, for sure. Because a lot of what we're doing, whether it's for our lifestyle or for business, it's a change in our daily habits, really, of what we're doing. So we can't just all of a sudden be like, hey, this is my resolution, this is what I'm gonna do, and try to do it all at once, and then we're over, like it's just too much, right? So then how many people fail within like the first week of January of the resolution or the first month, or they might make it a couple months, but then they never took the time to properly adjust to whatever those goals might
And I think a
require.
lot of it is, right, the intentions are good.
Mm-hmm.
So what doesn't change is, or no, let me take that back. The main objective is the goal. So the only thing that changes is how we obtain and reach the goal or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So when
absolutely.
we just, I'm going to call all my leads the first
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks of January. Well, your intention is to call all of your leads, but
Mm-hmm.
where the misstep is, you only gave yourself a 2 week window or a 1 month window or maybe a 1 day window, right? Like we
Yeah,
get really aggressive because we want to attack it because we
yeah.
feel on fire because we have a reset, but then we're quickly deflated whenever we realize it's almost an impossible task and then we
Mm-hmm.
don't ever meet it.
Yeah.
So we just give up altogether. So if
Mm-hmm.
we just eat that elephant one bite at a time and meet that goal over time, to exactly what you said, is just
Mm-hmm.
making those micro changes. One of my favorite books, Crystal, was The Compound Effect, Darren
Mm-hmm.
Hardy.
Yeah.
And he took like a normal idea and everything that's always been taught, but the way that he really portrayed it in the book, it made so much sense, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
compound effect,
Mm-hmm.
like save a penny a day, that penny grows into two, that two grows into four, that four grows into
Mm-hmm.
eight,
Yeah.
right? It's that compound effect
Mm-hmm.
that creates new lifestyle habits instead
Yeah.
of fossil
Oh, for
fuel.
sure. Yeah. I'm curious though, for any of our viewers that are on here, thanks for everyone that is. Did anyone actually create, as part of their New Year's resolutions, anything kind of business related for the upcoming year? And what are we doing, or what are you doing so far to achieve that resolution? Is it a massive resolution, or is it just kind of, simple, or what kind of steps are you taking? Are you trying to attack it all at once, or are you broken it down for like into a monthly? Did you really think about it? Could be part of your business plan as well, but like January, like I'm just really going to do it. It'd be interesting to see. We don't really have a topic for today. We don't have a guest on, so it's really anything goes. I just kind of started with a new year resolutions is one, and we're in here in the business, so it's not uncommon that part of our resolution, our goals for the new year is business related, financial related, things like that. So I'm just curious if everyone has made any kind of business related resolutions and what steps they've taken or plan on taking to achieve those.
Yeah, raise your hand or pop it in the chat and give us a
Mm-hmm.
topic of discussion because I definitely have a topic. I'm just going to start talking until somebody
Yeah,
chimes in.
yeah.
So, strategy plan was one of the very, very big things that we scheduled out time to plan our strategy. So, we strategized every quarter. And then, of course, the last quarter, you were strategizing for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to strategize your years, you really have to look at the big overall picture of 5, 10 years and work yourself backwards. So if you're looking at that goal, and some people don't even understand or know how to set a goal that is obtainable.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at your lifestyle and you say, okay, I have to make X amount of dollars every month to maintain my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So that X amount of dollars that you need to make a month, you need to figure out what your gross is so that you can net that number.
Yeah.
And when you figure out what that gross is, that's how you determine how many transactions that you need to do every
You have to
single
do.
month for the
Yeah.
year. And that's what gives you your transaction number of the goals that you're setting for your year. And you
Yeah.
break it up incrementally.
Yeah.
And then determining out of those amount of transactions, how many are going to be sell side and how many are going to be buy side. And then taking sell side, buy side, or if you want to be listing heavy, what is the strategy that's going to
Mm-hmm.
get you those listings? And have your top 5 every single month. And
Yeah.
that is what is just on your calendar. And those are the non-negotiables. Because if I do these 5 things every day and I'm attaining, you're going to meet those goals.
Mm-hmm.
But we just say,
Absolutely.
oh, I want to do 50 transactions this year. Well, what do they look like? What's your price point? Because if you haven't even
Yeah,
determined your price point, you don't even know how many transactions you really need to do.
for sure.
Do you know the price point in your market?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot that comes into play with a strategy to really set obtainable goals.
And it's reverse engineering it is what you do. It's like it's stepping back, like, okay, so in order to get one listing a month, I have to call X amount of people or knock on X amount of doors. But of those doors, how many people do I actually talk to? Like, so it kind of goes, it's really reverse engineering the strategy and then breaking it down into a daily habit of what we're doing each day to accomplish that goal.
And that really plays in, and I hope I say Marzea.
Mm-hmm.
Love this topic. Love this topic. It was big to do the CMA whenever you would go and do a listing presentation to a seller, right?
Yeah.
Current market analysis,
Mm-hmm.
everybody does it. So big on strategy, right? I wanted to put a different spin and play on it. So what I really had to focus on is not so much on, let's say, what happened to the market, right? So we have homes that sold, we have homes that are under contract, and we have homes that are active. So we can look at what happened, we can look at what's happening under
Mm-hmm.
contract, and we can look at this is happening, right? So you've got your active, this is going to happen. This is that projected number that might happen, but we don't know really what's going to happen with the active because there could be price adjustments. We don't know what these homes are going to sell at until they've happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we break our market up into 3 different categories, looking at, so just think of a listing, right? Just think of a listing presentation that you go on. Most agents are focusing on the last 3 recently sold that are like that property. Well, that's already in the past.
Mm-hmm.
We need to focus on what's under contract. If your home was on the market at this particular time when these homes got the contract, could you have been the one under contract? Could you have
Mm-hmm.
competed in this price range? And now let's look at what's active. Can you compete in this price range? Are you the best price position property on the market? Because everyone that's looking for homes, they're looking in, depending on price range, right? If it's anywhere's under $600,000 price range, they're looking at $50,000 increments. Once they start going over that $600,000-700,000 price range, they're probably looking in $100,000 increments. So when you're looking within that price range, can this particular home compete and be the best price that's within that? And this works with buyers as well. So if you're looking at pricing strategies and in an unstable market, you really have to look at active under contract. So
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen, what's happening, and what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, sellers can't seem to understand this. It might be in the presentation. So if you have it mapped out and you literally have a strategy chart and you have all of your homes in different pricing sections, Marzea, what is your average like price? So like what's your average starting price in your market? Ours had bumped. I used to we're over here in the States. We don't have like all these $1 million properties like y'all do in Toronto, or in Canada. So we started our pricing at like 150,000 and below. And then we would raise it every 50,000. And I'm looking at what's sold, what's under contract, what's active. And I would do that every $50,000 increment. Okay, you're in the million category. So literally you would start your first pricing chart at like 1 million and under and see what's active under contract and sold. And then your next category would be $1,001 up to maybe 2 million or 1.5 million. And look and see how many properties are in there. So when you're strategizing with your sellers, And they're like, my home's worth $2 million. Well, let's look at the $2 million category. So you have your 1.5 million to your 2 million to your 2.5 million. Well, if you have a bunch of actives in the 1 to 1.5 million, and then you have a bunch of solds between 1.5 and 2 million, what do those homes look like? Do they compete with yours? Are you the better home in that pricing category? So you can really be strategic when you have it narrowed down into your pricing categories. And you can get really fancy with your spreadsheets and make your formulas percentize what your average days are on market, and it'll just percent it out based on your, well, you can plug in, you can go to your MLS, and you should be able to do a chart. Like if you pull all your solds, it should give you your percentages. But if you have that on a graph and you're showing each pricing category, here's what's active, here's what's under contract, and here's what's sold, you're guaranteed that you're going to nail that price. And if they're not seeing it, they're not a motivated seller. I take my sellers to see all available listings in their price range too. Yes, that does absolutely help. And this is really fun to do too, is like a blind pricing strategy where you could literally have the listings and black out the price and ask them what they feel that home is worth. So you could take the listing sheets with you and have like all the demographics of that property. So you would want to keep it like their home, the amount of bathrooms, bedrooms, square footage, location, and just have maybe 3 listings that were active, under contract, and sold. And then just do a blind, what do you think this property's worth? What would you pay for this property? And that's a huge eye opener, because they think they have the best property and the most expensive property, right? So that really opens their eyes, because if they're so far way off, you can guarantee you they're so far way off on their own property. And then you've got the leverage now to prove that, because they were so far off on the other properties, because they really don't know the market. They just know their home. But the graph stats and numbers do not lie. And what's active, and that's where I always positioned the listings right to be the best priced property that was active. Because if you're looking at what went under contract, and they're, if your sellers are shooting for this big number, and you're seeing what's under contract and they can't even compete with that, they wouldn't have gotten a contract anyway. So I walk away from more listings than I take, because I don't want to have something on I don't want to spend my marketing dollars on a home that's not going to sell. And they'll say that they'll drop the price, but they lie. They lie. Because when it comes time to drop the price, they're like, nope. So you have got to get that price drop written into the listing agreement, that if it does not sell by said date, you have the authority to drop the price on that date. And I mean, obviously you would let them know, hey, today's the day, dropping the price. And then it's already in writing.
But emotional value to the home that a lot of them have. And of course, there are past markets where everything was flying off the shelf. It's, and especially this last year too, it's just like hard for a lot of sellers to wrap their head around the fact that their home isn't worth off, in some cases as much as they bought it for, right? But they need to get out of it. And so it's difficult to work with those individuals, and it's really for them,
funny, right? Whenever you're working with sellers that are also buying, it's funny to see that dynamic, because everyone wants to sell for $1 and buy for a dime. Because then, but it's like, oh, okay, but whenever you go to sell the home that you're buying, it's going to be worth like way more than it is now. Like, I don't understand this
logic. It's like, my girlfriend just went through this, and his house was worth, like, to him, right? And getting him to drop was a nightmare for him. Like, even negotiating, turned down 2, like, it was just a nightmare for her. But then when it came for them putting an offer in, oh man, he was trying to lowball. Like, it was okay for him to be and get a really great deal, but for him to budge off his price, which was the actual market price, right? And really, he wasn't, the offers weren't far off of that market value. It was like, there was no, it was just, you know, an insult that they wanted the house for $10,000 less. Like, it's like, but he wants the house
Yep.
he's buying for like $80,000 less, right?
It's
Like it.
insane how the
Mm-hmm.
mind just
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marze, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. You get more referrals out of the nose whenever you walk away because they're like, wait, what? And
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing, right? I never wanted to create history with a seller that was so far off after I presented the facts. Because once you create that history, they're on the market for 6 months, they don't sell. If they don't have to move, it's just a really strong want for a lifestyle change. They pull it off the market and then they have a home that was on the market that has a price on it. And then if they decide to sell in 2, 3, 4 years and the market shifts, they get a number out there. And if the market has increased and that number's out there, they've lost their negotiation power. And that's what sellers don't understand is if you go on the market to test the market, you're creating history. And I'm not doing that for you. Let another agent do it, but I'm not doing that for you. And that kind of puts a light bulb on for people because I'm like, if I'm telling you, if facts are telling you that you are not going to sell, that you're looking literally for that needle in a haystack, or let's call it the sucker. If you're literally waiting for that sucker and you're on for 6 months, I like you, but I don't like you 6 months worth. It's not worth the 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather wait the 6 months and reassess the market than create that history. And I promise you, if they create history with another agent, my favorite story. I mean, literally, I told the seller, I'm like, you are at 425. He's like, nope, 500. I'm like, good luck with that. He listed it for 500. They were holding two mortgages because they bought a home in another state and they had to get out from underneath this mortgage. And this is what buyers don't think about. They don't think about, and this is what our job is to help them realize how much money they're losing by hanging on to try to save or make that extra $5,000. So here they are at 500,000. Facts proved it. No, don't. And it was actually a relative of a girl that worked for me. So I turned it away. I'm like, sorry, Amanda, I'm turning it away. So another agent took it. They had two mortgages. They were struggling. A month goes by, 2 months goes by, they drop the price $15,000. Another month goes by, they drop it again. Another month goes by, they drop it again. 2 more months go by, they're down to 400. So not
Mm-hmm.
only did they not sell it for 500,000, but they wasted all that
Mm-hmm.
time and it cost them that much money. But guess what? I didn't have the damn headache.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad I walked away from that listing. And I'm like, yep, I knew I was ready. I'm like, oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a phone call you want to make and go, nah, 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 I told you so.
Yeah.
How'd
Yeah.
that feel? Right. Because
Mm-hmm.
they spent so much money on that mortgage.
Yes.
They lost more than they made. So they lost more trying
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Because not only in the sale price, but every payment every single month that went out that they
But they
didn't
can
sell it.
blame the agent or they can
Oh, for
blame the
sure.
market or they can
Yeah.
blame everything else. Right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You
Yeah.
you see it all the time. There's certain houses too, like that don't sell. There's houses around here that it is like you got to be a special person to want to buy this one house, right? So it's hard to sell, right? It's very unique, and you would see
Oh,
it
and
go up
hopefully when
for
you buy it, you
sale.
know that.
Yeah, but it's like you'd see it, and I drive by because on my dad's street, and you would see like the different sign going up, a different agent, a different agent. I'm like, it's not the agent, it's the house. Like it's the house
House of the
that will,
price. It's the price.
and the price too,
Because
right? Like, are
there
you
is a
willing?
house for
Yeah,
everybody, right?
exactly,
Because the
right?
person that's
But
going to buy that is the
yeah,
person that can't get that kind of house anywhere
yeah,
else.
yeah.
And
It
yeah,
needed a lot of work, and like it did finally sell. And we spoke to, I happened to run into the people that bought it, and they were like, it was something else inside. She said the person who lived there loved pink everything was pink inside. And I could see how if a seller needs to sell at a certain price but isn't willing to adjust to appeal to buyers just walking into that saying I'm dropping how much money and I've got to like gut all of this unless I really like pink, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's tricky, but yeah, it wasn't, I don't think in that case it had anything to do with the realtor.
Yeah.
But the
That's
the
facts.
sellers definitely, yeah, the sign kept switching it was like every 3 to 6 months the sign, it was a different sign,
That's
different
so
agent.
funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, Marzia, tell me about your market. You say values are dropping every day. What's happening? And are you able to come on live and talk with us? Because I'd love to answer this question. I just need to know a little bit more about your market.
I just have to give you the ability to talk. Give me 1 second. Isaiah.
Pull your Houdini Harry Potter wand out.
All right. There.
There you go, Marzia. You can unmute.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm in the Newmarket, well, Richmond Hill, Greater Toronto area. So I do work with buyers and sellers. I've been in the industry for 22 years. So I've been seen, the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
probably the ugly at this point.
yeah. For
I
sure.
have so I don't I know a lot of agents in our market. We have different ethnic backgrounds that do different things, including cash back on purchases, up to like 1.5% on their commission. I've seen people stage at their own expense, and they list at extreme low prices and they sell properties, and they sometimes are in teams, sometimes they're it's solo, or maybe they're just two people. I don't know if it really does work in this market, because I've noticed things, whether they're staged or not, they just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that we don't have buyers. We have buyers. They're just not willing to pay. And
Yeah.
when they do, and they are willing to pay, mortgages are not being approved. So it's quite challenging. But at the same time, there are some of the I guess past investors who bought and they put in the money into the property and they're sitting on the market, they're not selling. So those are the ones that sell first, because it's newer everything. So
Yeah.
it's that shiny new kitchen and bathroom that sells it, and they are losing money on them, not that they're not. So I'm kind of in that position. I have two listings right now that are condos, and both of them are vacant.
Okay.
One is tired, needs a bit of work, and
Tired. I like that.
yeah. So it just needs a bit of, I guess it does need staging, but I don't know if it's worth putting $3,000, $4,000 in staging. And a lot of the staging companies or rental, because I do my own staging, but I rent them from different companies. They don't have inventory because everything is sitting on properties for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's one of those things,
Interesting.
yeah. So I am in that position where I'm kind of like, thank goodness I've been around for long enough that I kind of know how to navigate these markets. But I do have online leads. Since COVID, I started this online platforms. So I do work with KV Core as well, which is part of the Royal
Yep.
LePage. And majority of my leads are on KV Core and not on Agent Locator.
Okay.
It's because I don't know if I'm, if I'm navigating it correctly. So I'm just learning how to do it on Agent Locator before I move my that big bulk. And I don't pay for that CR. So anyways, so at this point, I don't know if I'm like the pricing issue. I've run into this at least 5 different occasions last year where I said no because the price was way too high. And they just sat on the market, they took them off. Two of them came back to me this year because I did send out my calendars, and I do a follow-up phone call with, Happy New Year kind of thing. But because they had listed before, I chose not to call them. They called me themselves. But anyways, so that was the whole point. And I said, you do realize that if I do put it in the market for 2.50, it's not going to sell. It's going to be the same thing. Are you okay for that? And she said, yes, I realized, I have to be much lower. And I'm talking like 300,000 lower, not just 200,000, not 150,000, like 300,000. So my question is, how do I, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this market where there is no demand. No matter how you put it together, there is no demand for purchases.
So, question for you, when you're working with your buyers and you're going to view properties, what are your buyers looking for? Do they tend to gravitate? Does it make a difference if properties are staged for your buyers?
In the past, it did. In this market, it doesn't. I don't think it does, but I do see a lot of, again, competition out there that they do still stage and they just sit there for months. Like I had a condo listing in Aurora back last November that I listed my condo, and my clients lived in the condo. So we couldn't really stage it. We just decluttered and we kind of minimized a lot of the features that they had just to make it look more of a neutral kind of decor. And I sold theirs, and the one that was staged just sat there. Uh, so my question is, sometimes I'm thinking of the one that I have right now, that should I be staging it? Like, should I be putting the effort into, I do tell my clients this. I always tell them it's a matter of choice, but in this market, because things are not moving, do you really think that by spending $4,000 we're going to move it? Or, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
think you answered your own question because you said it
yes.
doesn't make a difference for your buyers, right?
Yes, I guess the reason I'm asking the question is, am I doing something wrong? Like, do I see that? Or is this like something that maybe other agents were listening? I'll give you another example. I don't want to take your time, but I had another example of a listing that I listed 3 years ago for 1.3 in Newmarket, 1.289. And my client decided, oh, and we received an offer for 1.2. They didn't take it because they wanted more. They wanted that extra 89,000. So it came off the market. They called me back in May. They want to go back in the market, but they wanted it staged and they wanted me to pay for it. And I said, no, I'm not going to stage it and I'm not going to pay for it. The house is beautiful. It doesn't need staging. And I would list it for 1,149,000 in this market. Are you okay with that? Because you didn't take 1.2. They said, no, we'll think about it. And then next thing you know, they listed with two Asian couple, and they staged it as well. They painted, they staged it. So they spent at least $10,000 and they sold it for 1,030,000. Do you see like the and when I spoke to them, they felt pressured because those two said, if we stage it, you have to sell it the price that, we say you should be selling it at. And it just became like, I'm confused if that's the best way to put it. I'm actually confused in this market.
I think you know the answer because everything that you've been saying is it's not worth staging.
Yeah.
Your buyers, it's not making a difference, and the expense of the homes just sitting there. And especially today, right? With all of the graphics that we can do with AI and what we can do with photos, you can have it staged online in the photos.
Yep.
Because honestly, the very first showing happens online.
Correct.
Your job is to get the people in the door. So if the first showing is online, it has to fall within that price range, right? Of buyers looking, and it has to stick out like, wow, like this house is really priced well for this, for everything else that I'm seeing. That's the first eyes on the property. And then they've already have it in their mind what it was staged like in the pictures. And they don't know if it was fake on staged. People
Well,
could
we
have
do
just found
say
it
we do
vacant.
say that it's AI. No, we do have to say, because people come in and say, "Well, this doesn't look like what you posted." So we
So
kind
like
of have to
photoshopping and
disclose that.
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
photoshopping and AI.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, virtual staging works well with empty properties. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would not put the money into, I mean, when you're talking that kind of coin for furniture to sit there, and then, so do you pay like a monthly fee to keep, because it's renting it, right? So you're paying a
Mhm.
monthly fee to keep that furniture.
Yes, initially you do, and then the
Yeah.
second month would be like 20% off or 30%, depending on the company that you're dealing with. So
Yeah.
they will give you a discount, but it's still, I mean, if you have a property that's sitting on the market for 4 months, that's a big budget for someone
Mhm.
who is trying
Yeah.
to
And you're
sell.
not in this business to not make money.
I mean, yeah, no.
There is
And I'm not
realtors
in the
out there
business
with
of staging. Like I'm not in the business of I'll stage for my clients if I mean, when they decide. So I rent the items, I go in and I decorate. I've done enough courses to know how to. So I
Yep.
do that myself. But at the same time, I just find that it's ridiculously expensive.
So one of my favorite strategies has always been just really truly knowing my competition and either doing it completely different or doing it just a little bit better. And when you tweak what you're saying in your listing presentations to kind of work for you on what everybody else is doing, say everybody's staging properties. Like all a seller wants to hear is how much money are you going to put in my pocket when I walk away from this house,
Yeah.
right? And when you start presenting it to them of here's the facts and data of today, and I would actually go back, look at your solds, see how many were staged or virtually staged, and just do a little bit of homework and be able to present the facts and data to say, hey, these properties were vacant. These properties, whether they were staged or they staged their own with their own furniture,
Mhm.
doesn't matter, right? So these were vacant, these were staged. There was an equal amount of sales, something that you can have tangible as leverage to be able to help them to understand, because you're going to have other listing agents going in there pushing, we can stage and we can do this and it's going to sell faster.
Correct.
But you're ahead of the game because you're going to have facts and data showing this home was staged. It was on the market for 6 months. This home was vacant. It was on the market for 4 months. Right. I'm just spitballing here because I have
Mhm.
no idea what facts you're going to find. But that's the beauty of really digging into the market and knowing it. And I think you said your goal was to have a strategy of like knowing the
Pricing.
market
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and stable market,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, that's it. You're dead on. Don't be like everybody else. Save your sellers the money. If you're onto something, make that your strength.
Okay, well, thank you.
Of course. Great questions. Great
Mhm.
topic.
Yeah.
And stay with it. I
And
want to know, Marze, how many times have you quit real estate in the last 20 some years?
Never.
No, I mean mentally though. How many times have
Oh,
you said I'm done?
mentally, I would say 2008, I had a slowdown. So 2008 was one of those years, but I came from financial planning background, so
Okay.
I was used to, market corrections and this and that. So I kind of adapted easier, but this year has been, I would say 2025 was probably my lowest in real estate, like my lowest I've ever done. Like probably like the first year that I started in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
good for you for sticking with it.
Yeah. I have no choice. I'm too old and I don't know what else to do.
Stay with your gut. You're onto something. You're not missing anything. You're on
I'll
it.
tell you what, I have passion for real estate. I can tell you when I started, my whole family said, "Oh my God, you found exactly what you are good at
Aw.
and you love." So I do have passion and I do definitely work from my heart for my clients. And I put every person that I work with as if it's my own family and my own home. So I think that does speak out. I mean, I do have enough
Heck yeah.
client base that are just, I have tons of people who are in the pipeline to buy. They're just not ready, and there's some who should not be selling because it's just not good for them to sell at this point. So I work with ethics. I think that's what matters.
I love that. And I always say, every sale, I treat it like it's my dearest family member,
Mhm.
because if it's truly not a right time for somebody to buy, you've got to be honest with people. And
Absolutely.
my last family that we closed on, they're struggling. First time home buyers are really struggling, and I'm sure they are in your market too. I'm like, dude, just go rent. Why are you trying to put this square peg in a round hole? Because you're maxing yourself out to buy something that you're going to have to continue to put money into. And, you're really putting your family in financial distress, and you really don't want to start your homeownership off on that foot.
Yeah.
And he was determined, and we kept looking, and they found a home. Was I jazzed about it? I mean, they got a family of 5 with 1 bathroom.
Oh, wow.
No, wasn't jazzed about it. And there are 3 really small bedrooms, but he wanted home ownership, and
I
I don't
believe in
know.
that. People should have a home ownership. Maybe the investors should be kind of like not really being active. Maybe someone who's downsizing, maybe this is not the right time for them.
Yeah,
Maybe somebody who's moving up, it's a great time for them.
yeah,
Regardless of selling their home a little bit lower, they're still purchasing a larger home, lower
yep,
price. So to me, there are people who should really take advantage of this
that's right.
market, and it does happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do
Absolutely.
have activity,
Well,
but
and it's assessing the situation, right? And knowing what's best for them and not what's best for your bank account, because
correct.
it comes back hundredfold whenever
Yeah,
you're honest with people, 100%.
yeah,
I love
yeah,
your ethics.
yeah. Thank you,
We
thank
need
you.
more of you in the market.
Thank you. Thank you. This is, it takes me to the condo, pre-construction condo. I mean, look at what's happening in the pre-construction condo in our industry here in Greater Toronto area. It's crazy. It's crazy. People are losing so much money. They're losing their deposits, but there are agents who only work with pre-construction, and they're selling them even today. Like there's just no ethics. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want to be negative, so let's just leave that.
It's not negative, it's truth.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
contribution. That
guys.
was a
Thank you,
great
ladies.
topic. It truly was.
I see Anastasia, you have your hand up. Did you want to talk? Come up here, Anastasia.
I know she said great input. Yeah, she really appreciated that topic. It was a really great topic. And it
No,
is,
it's great. It
you
is.
know, it's so easy to look at the market and just think you're going to do it just like everybody else. But, and I loved how she was thinking, right? But it was the overthinking. It's like, what
Oh,
if
for
everybody else
sure.
is doing this? Should I still continue to do this?
Yeah.
Right. And,
I
and
think
it's hard to go with your gut sometimes.
second guessing ourselves and it's tricky because it's when you get so many sellers that are, I guess, objective to what you're guiding them on, and then you get the like I told you so, right? It's kind of it can be a little, I guess, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it's
Yeah.
discouraging sometimes, right? And then of course that second guessing of like they let it can be for sure. But again, she's gaining long-term clients from and people value that honesty.
So I love what Sackett. All right, you use an interesting word in your last chat. It's hard to convince with all the media out there for first-time home buyers. So I'm curious in regards to convincing. That's a word that I don't like in my vocabulary because it's not our job to convince. Our job is to educate. And with the right education and with the right tools, we don't have to convince. They come to terms on their own. And if they don't, they're just not ready.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, what is the media? How is the media scaring first-time home buyers that you feel you have to convince? And can you come on live like Marzia did? Because that would be great if we could talk this out. Yeah, all right. Crystal, wave
All
your
right.
magic wand.
I scroll
Pull a
through
Harry
my list
Potter.
here.
Hello, hello.
Hi there.
There you are.
Hey, second,
All
how
right,
are you?
talk to me.
Good, good. Yeah, probably wrong choice of word. What I really meant was to make them understand or see the situation clearly through all the noise being created by media. I know it's quite scary, the situation. And as Marzia was saying, the pre-sale market is in the dumps right now, literally. Toronto more so. I think Vancouver is still holding out. But if you compare it from the perspective, we are at a very odd end right now, per se, where you say that the mortgage rates are low and the prices go up. We are in this unique scenario where mortgage rates are also low and prices are also following down, are much lower. I know some of my clients who bought last year, if they would have bought this year, if the same property would have been available, they would have been able to buy like probably 100 grand lower.
Wow. So we're left with exactly where we're at always, right? And I'm going to go back to assess the situation. I sound like a police officer or something. But when we look at the known facts right now, this is what it is. But everyone else's story is unique to them and to their situation. And looking at each story of their wants, needs, and best interests. When we have those real conversations with people, right? We can never guarantee, even in a escalating market, we can never guarantee that a buyer is buying at the absolute perfect time or a seller is selling at the absolute perfect time. People just happen into that. It just happens. Like, ooh, I got lucky and I bought, blah, 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 or I got lucky and I sold, blah, 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 right? So some people hit the lottery, not me. I don't play, but I mean, I never play, but you just never know what's going to happen with the market because you only know what you know right now. So when you're talking to each individual as a first-time home buyer, for example, what's important for them? And like I was just giving an example for my first-time home buyers, I pushed him to rent. I'm like, dude, just ride this out. You're going to be paying for rent what you're going to be paying in a mortgage. So ride it out and see what happens with the market. But no, you're never going to outsave the market because that's usually the biggest excuse that, and I say excuse lightly, but that's the excuse that first-time home buyers have is I just want to wait and save more money. You'll never outsave the market. It just won't happen. So what is your goal? Because we know what we have right here, right now. We know how much money you have. We know how much you're able to spend a month. We know what the interest rates are and we know what the prices are. What's your goal? Let's cut out everything else. If we can get, because everything, I was just having one of my group fitness instructors, I just had this conversation with him. He's in real estate too. And we were talking about the market and he's like, it's just so tough right now. He says interest rates for sellers that bought a couple of years ago are so low that they don't want to sell their homes, right? Well, it all comes down to what someone's spending a month on their home. So if we can get them away from everything else and just ask them, what is their goal? What can you afford a month in a mortgage? And can we make that happen? Forget the interest rate, forget the price of homes. It's about, now I sound like a used car salesman, right? It's about that monthly payment.
Mhm.
Nothing else matters because if that payment fits in your budget and you like the home and that's your lifestyle, who the hell cares if the market's going up, down, all around? I mean, that's what the stock market is. It's going to happen. And you can't help when you have to move or have to sell. Then you make that determination when that situation happens because you can't just throw the dice out there and go, oh, yay, I buy right now. And then I'm going to score in 5 years because the market's going to turn. I wish it was like that.
Mhm.
But you really have to take each individual case in and of its own and find out their goals and what they can afford per month. So it's not convincing, it's not talking into, it's not taking away from the noise, because that is what it is.
Mhm.
Yes, you're right. But if you can afford this per month, you have to live somewhere anyway. You're gonna be paying to live somewhere anyway, unless you're staying with mom and dad. So what do you want to invest your hard-earned money on every month?
Mhm.
Where do you want to sleep at night? Because nothing else matters. Price doesn't matter. Interest rates don't matter. What matters is what they can afford per month and if it meets their lifestyle for their family. Is that helpful at all, Saket?
Yeah, and I would say right now that is an even harder discussion, Beverly, because the rents have also dropped quite a bit.
Yeah.
So if you are approaching
So
it
are they
from
better
that
off
perspective,
renting? Are people
yeah,
better off?
if you are approaching it from that perspective, there is no rationale that you can provide for somebody to buy,
Yeah,
other than
that's what I'm
what
saying.
I.
So it may be you shifting and building that rental market to build your pipeline when the market shifts. And I know
Well,
a lot of agents here are doing that. They're focusing more on that rental, and they're making their strategies with property management right now. And they're really getting in with the renters because they know it's going to come. The market's going to shift. It's not going to stay like this forever. So it just may be time to shift.
Yeah, I'm not too much into the rental, and it's not similar to probably the GTA market out in Vancouver, but in current terms of the uh, offers that first-time home buyers have are tremendous. On new builds, there is no GST. Government is offering them. There is no property transfer tax. So if you start comparing it from that perspective, they are already at a benefit point than a normal buyer by about 5 to 7% straight. And if you are going right now, again, pre-sale market, condo market is difficult, but there are a lot of developers also struggling with 80% solds, and they're offering tremendous discounts right now. And that is a harder discussion for me for somebody I sold last year with a pre-sale, and this year similar units are selling 60,000 lower.
Yep. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's if the rental market is popping. I mean, I know here when you do a rental sale, you only get paid the first month's rent. So if it's a $2,000 rental, you get the first month's rent. You get like a small percentage of that, very small percentage of that. You barely make any money on rentals. It's literally building the pipeline and building your network and creating those alliances and networking relationships with property management companies, because I live in an apartment. There's thousands of people that live in my apartment complex. I mean, sky's the limit in my apartment complex, and it's like we always have to stay on top of our market and stay on top of our game and do what's best for what's happening with our market. Is it the best time to sell? Work with the sellers. Is it the best time to buy? Work with the buyers. Is it the best time to rent? Work with the renters. Build the pipeline. I'd rather make something than nothing and build the pipeline. When you look at what we're willing to pay for lead gen, it's really kind of the same thing, right? If you're willing to pay X amount of dollars to have lead gen every month, it's so cheap to lead generate rentals. It's so cheap to generate those
It
leads.
is. And they are,
A lot of
as long
work.
as you've got systems in place, and there is a rental form that yeah, I'll have access to. You can reach out to support. We can get it to you. And it's really just a Google form that they fill out. And if you're generating a high level, a quantity of rental leads, there's no way that you can reach out to each and every one of them personally. So it's using the system, using automation, getting them that form, and that person, those who fill out the form, are the ones that you pay more attention to, or that are responsive. Those are the ones that you pay attention to. But the form itself will help you to also identify, can you even help this person in the first place based on how they answer those questions? Or you might have a lot of potential for a lot of first-time buyers actually sitting in there, disguised as rentals. They don't even realize that they have the ability to buy right now.
Yep. Yeah, and it's pivoting. It's pivoting your business strategy. Yeah, I don't like working rentals either, but you know what? You got to go with the market and make hay while the sun's shining. And, if you want to stay with it, you can really coin yourself, because if you're thinking that, everyone else is thinking that. And I'm sure there's no competition. And that's where it's, only what you're willing to do to keep your face out there, keep your name out there. And, what's your goal at the end of the day? Is it to help buyers? But if you want to focus on listings, that's not going to be your go-to. It's focusing on the listings and what are those activities on a daily basis. It's going to lead you to the sellers, because let's face it, right? If you pull up the MLS, home sold yesterday, there was closings guaranteed. There's closings every day. And why aren't you the agent that closed that property? Because they didn't know you, period. End of story. Our job as licensed agents is to market ourselves for the average person to know that we're available to be interviewed, period. So it's what strategy is going to get you in front of more people, and what are the right people to get in front of? Because, as Marze was saying, it's do you absolutely want listings? See, I had agents that we're not in $1 million market. I mean, we are now, but years ago, I had agents, I want to sell $1 million properties. I'm like, do you? There was one sold last year. Like, why would you want to sell $1 million properties? Just to say you have $1 million listing? I ain't putting money in my bank.
There's a lot of realtors that didn't want listings this year. They're like, they're not moving, and all it's doing is tying up my money. I'm spending money and they're sitting there, right? So they're like, I need buyers. I don't want any more listings. So this might be the year, this might be the season that it shifts, or at least balances a bit better.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be a singer up on stage wearing all the bling, but I can't carry a damn note. I mean, there's a lot of things I want, right? But we really have to look at what is attainable that brings me joy, that I can actually help people in this shitty market. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it might not be what you wanted to hear, Saket, but yeah.
No, I've been attending your sessions for quite some time, and I always find them very educating. And I truly believe real estate you have to adapt to the real estate market. And when I came into the industry, buyer, seller, pre-sale, I have gone through every aspect. And to be very honest, right now, I have my focus going on commercial a little bit more. I have more deals in commercial right now that I'm working on than on residential side.
Yeah. And that's a pivot. I had one of my coaching clients, he was resisting going on the commercial side so hard. But that's really where his heart was. He was just afraid to fully jump in and commit, because he was with EXP. So if you sold X amount of like commercial deals, you couldn't like to be like a commercial agent, you couldn't be both. And I got an email from him. He's actually sent me a text, and he said he finally took the leap and jumped into the commercial. And that's why it's so vitally important for us to know our market and what's going on. And as I was saying earlier, with the strategy and just knowing prices and what's selling, what's not selling, what's sitting, what's not sitting, even looking at the vacancies, like do I stage, right? the more we dig in and look at what's happened, what's happening, and what's going to happen, the more we know it, the more we can strategize on where do we spend our time that's going to give us that return. It may not be the exact return that we want right now, but we've got to ride that wave wherever it may be. And the only way to know it, and it might be commercial for you. That would be better than, I don't know. I don't know what the commercial market's like. Our commercial market here, we have so many businesses are closing because they can't afford the rents, and commercial properties are just sitting empty. And it breaks my heart. Even going to New York City, my daughter and I went over Christmas, and it breaks my heart to see so many vacancies.
All right, everything's switching to online too, so it's hard to keep open retail space depending on what your business is. You have to have, yeah.
Just to give you perspective, Beverly, that I just received the GVR member update for commercial transactions rose 7% in the third quarter of 2025.
There you go. You might be onto something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, follow the gut, right? We always have like that spark. And sometimes that spark, that fan just needs flame to really bring it out and make it happen, because we're just natural overthinkers, right? Like we are literally like cows when they put the food out and we're in that little line, right? We just like, we could all like get there at the same time instead of following the line. But no, we follow the line because we want to be like everybody else. That's normal. But man, get outside that box. Trust your gut. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks to you.
Of course.
Awesome.
Narendra, yeah, that was, I heard about that. I don't know. Yeah, that did, because that happened here. Oh gosh, even with hotels, we had a lot of investors that were buying up hotels, and it just like came to a screeching halt with travel because they weren't letting other people even come into our country. Yeah. So travel just stopped. So all of the hotel exchanges just dried up, and there's a lot of people that went belly up on that.
I think the stress test, if we got done with the stress test, 100% things would shift. I think that the stress test, I don't know if you guys have it there in the States, but the stress test really,
I know you've had it.
In my personal opinion,
but you all didn't really experience the amount of foreclosures that we did here in the States because of the test.
Yes, but no, because it's really only like it makes more sense to me to be stress test if you're going into a variable, because your mortgage can go from this to this.
Change. Yep.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're going in, let's say a 5 or let's say, I don't know if you would a 10-year term, I don't know if they do that, but let's say a 5-year term, I don't feel like that's necessary to put someone through a stress test, right? Because generally speaking, unless they've, maxed themselves out there, here, there, and everywhere, I just don't think it's necessary. So it's really blocking a lot of people in their buying power. And especially with the prices of homes here, it's like, I personally, as a single person, have to be making $200,000 a year to buy something that's even like remotely livable in for my family. Like it's insane. And for them to think that the average individual can do that, or the average family, when they know what the average household income is just like mind-boggling.
Yeah. Well, I think Narendra is a very, very good point right there, right? It's buyers feel that prices are going to continue to come down. And are they wrong?
We don't know. We don't really know.
If they don't have to buy right now, are they wrong?
No, but even then they can negotiate that lower price or no, because the market's not, the demand is just not there. So that's the part, I think that's the frustration for a lot of realtors is like they're banging their hat. Like you can get that price if you negotiate. You could potentially get that price you're hoping that listing is going to drop to if you just put an offer and maybe negotiate it. So it's fun times.
Right?
But
Welcome to 2026. Happy New Year.
Positive thinking.
That's right.
Oh gosh. Anyhow, well, it was a great session today. Thanks for everyone that did jump in and give some
Yes,
input. It was
thank
a great
you.
discussion. But we'll be back again next month, and maybe
Yes.
January will surprise us all, and
Yes,
we'll
go
have a
out,
whole
just learn your market and set your
yeah
goals, everyone.
yeah.
Happy New
But
Year.
it's Happy New Year, everyone. See you in a month.
Bye.
Bye.